Have you heard about the innate? What if this is the real healer within your body? Hello, welcome to Wednesdays with Kryon, where Monika and I are here as part of our 4th Wednesday forum to discuss the power of innate. Now, if you've never heard of the 4th Wednesday forum, we're going to tell you what that is in just a moment. For our regular members, they already know what to expect, and we're so happy that they're here with us this evening. We're also very happy and fortunate that our YouTube audience is here as well. This 4th Wednesday forum is where we open the program to questions and answers that have been submitted by members. And also we openly discuss issues and give you what Kryon has had to say about them as well. So if you're interested in finding out more about the innate, you are in the right place.
You sure are. And right now it's February of 2026 and many things are changing just as Kryon told us they would as we are coming out of the shift. Finally, my goodness, finally, we're in the first of 5 years. So this is like year 1 of where we're moving out of the shift and we're starting to move past some very difficult energies. And one of the tools that we have to help us with this new energy is by using affirmations. We've said this many times, but we believe it's true. Affirmations are powerful because the words you speak, it carries energy and it postures the field of potentials that exist all around you. So we'd like to begin our time together with some affirmations. And we invite you to participate with us and claim them as your own. The template of vibrant health is within me. I am healthy and full of energy. The template of vibrant health is within me. I am healthy and full of energy.
The template of vibrant health is within me. I am healthy and full of energy. The template of vibrant health is within me. I am healthy and full of energy. Short and sweet, very meaningful, very powerful. I am healthy and full of energy. Did you know that part of good affirmations are you stating how you are going to be in the future? Think of affirmations sometimes as being you softening the path in front of you with benevolent energy. So when you get there, the potholes are all sealed and you won't step in any of them. This is how affirmations work. I am healthy. I am full of energy. When you think about it, when you say these affirmations out loud, your body hears it, your consciousness hears it, you hear it, your innate hears it. So who is the boss of your cells? Chance, how old you are, or perhaps something else? Before we continue our discussion, it's time to tell you a little more about our 4th Wednesday forum, and I'd like to ask Monika for some additional explanation of this 4th Wednesday program.
Now, this is mainly for our new members that are watching us. This is the 4th Wednesday of the month. It's just Lee and I. There's no guest. It's just us. And that's because we want to be able to present to you the 4th Wednesday forum, which allows us to discuss a topic or a subject that we feel is on the minds and the hearts of many. We also spend a bit of time answering some of the questions that have been submitted by our members. So if you are a member, please keep those questions coming. We began the 4th Wednesday forums about a year and a half ago as an enhancement to the Wednesdays with Kryon program. And since then, we have answered loads of great questions and we've discussed many different topics.
Indeed we have, but I feel that the information about innate is really something we should begin to explain a little bit and to work with. We'll be discussing that a little later on, but we felt we could start the program with some questions we have from our members on healing. Monika?
So Tina from the United States has written in and says, I've struggled with severe hip pain for several years. I listen to the green mist and I hear the messages about the power of Innate, but this is the first time in my life that I have not been able to heal myself or improve the situation. I am facing a hip replacement and feeling such uncertainty. Could I have tried harder? Why am I failing to heal? Should I wait for a miracle cure? How can we find peace with physical issues that require medical intervention?
Tina, there are many who won't like my answer, and there's some have heard my answer before on this program. But you're asking about a very specific issue that I know about. I faced the same kind of a question with my heart surgery. Should I wait and try to use only my energy work to heal it, or have medical intervention? Now, this isn't as much a question about innate as it is about the landscape of the kind of help which is available today, with a combination, perhaps, of medical science and energy work. With my open heart surgery, I opted for a stellar, known, and practiced medical procedure, along with the energetic assistance of prayer and intent for a miraculous recovery. Do you see the two together, how that worked? Some of the medical procedures, especially within the surgeries, are inventions and processes that have come directly from lightworkers who are doctors and scientists. Did you know that? I know some of them. Your hip surgery is something done daily, and it is one of the most successful of all surgeries, letting thousands of people walk again. Innate would jump up and down and tell you to do this and get on with it so that the rest of your body can relax, be balanced, and not stressed any longer as it is now. From your note, I can see that. Concentrate on the miracle that will follow the surgery as you get up and walk around again without pain. And you're able to function far better than most do in the same situation. You are not failing to heal. You're failing to get the message from Innate that if you do not do this, your body in general will pay the price in many ways of being unbalanced. It's not about your hip. It's about an entire full body experience. There is room for the miracle in the surgeon's hands, combined with the miracle of recovery, which is beyond that which most people experience. I know. I did it with my heart surgery and was so far ahead of the recovery curve, the nurses signed off on continuing with my therapy since I didn't need it anymore.
What great advice, Lee. And thanks so much, Tina, for submitting your question. And Tina, I want you to know that I've added your name to our prayer list. You're not alone. We're all with you. We're behind you. And we're sending prayers of love, peace, and solution. So next we have a question that comes from Edna, who is in France. And Edna's saying, I want to ask about healing in general, but specifically the difference between instant remission versus peeling the onion, where you work on something over time. In this time of consciousness shift, given that our ailments, problems, or illnesses come from the old energy, I was wondering if instant remission is a sort of general release of the old energy problems. And why do some get this and others have to work with the programs over time? With the acceleration at hand and the activation of the 24th chromosome, is there the possibility of remembering how to shift gears and accelerate the healing? Can you elaborate and explain, please? And then we have a similar question that's come from Sylvie, who's in Canada, because Sylvie is asking, how come some get instantaneous remission and healing with meditation, affirmations, or the green mist, and some don't? And their situation is getting worse. Does it relate to faith or maybe karma?
It's a big set of questions with a whole lot of things in there. Edna's reference to the activation of the 24th chromosome is information that may be new to some. It is information directly from Kryon that tells us that some of us are beginning to have a release of information right now from the multidimensionality of our 24th chromosome pair. It's an invisible pair that Kryon talks about that has given us by those from the stars. Sylvie's reference to the green mist is the profound healing meditation that we do for our members every first Sunday of the month. It's really something to see, and truly it is a wonderful visualization. Both of these precious old souls are asking, what is the difference between spontaneous remission and healing that must be achieved over time? Answer may surprise you. Edna is also asking about the effects of old energy on the body. All of those things are changing right now very dramatically. There are so many factors in these questions that there's no simple answer. But let's first look at what Kryon has told us about the innate, which is also known as the smart body intelligence. Here's a very short quote from Kryon. The innate within the body isn't just a measuring tool that is smarter than you are. It's the great personal master healer and is responsible for spontaneous healing. Okay, so we hear that from Kryon. I think innate is part of the esoteric soul within you. Kryon has said that as well. In other words, the innate knows your soul, knows who you are, and the reasons why you came here. Even you don't know the full soul plan in your consciousness, since it varies with events in your life as you then develop new consciousness. Ponder this. I have personally, up close, seen spontaneous remission with non-believers who don't even begin to be high consciousness people. This tells me that what innate does and does not do is not related to your ability to work with your cellular structure or even your awakened status. You probably didn't expect me to tell you that. There doesn't seem to be a set of rules of what works with who or why at this point. But this makes sense to me since we're all very different soul energies on the planet and need to follow certain paths to create specific outcomes. What I do know, however, is that the new energy of 2026 and beyond is changing absolutely everything and all the rules that might be there, even the ones we don't know. This energy has placed us in a new kind of dimension of allowance, intent, and awareness. It's one of the reasons we wanted to talk to you today. Recently, Kryon told me that almost everything I have learned about esoteric things has been learned in an old energy. Therefore, much of it must be relearned. To everyone listening, this is the best news I can give you. Things are changing quickly with the relationship between innate and consciousness. The activation of what we call the 24th set of chromosomes is an ascension energy from the stars and is being released in many. I know that sounds really strange and woo-woo until you may remember that it's the church that foretold this very energy at this very time, the mid-2000s, being a spiritual return of the masters and perhaps even a rapture, which is defined as a state of utter joy. So, who is it who is woo-woo? My information is the same. Edna and Sylvie, throw away what you think you know and begin your quest with knowledge that you are now in a dimensional shift that is benevolent to lightworkers. What you tried before may work much better now. Imagine a new energy that supports compassion and kindness. Edna is very wise to ask if she can now remember things that she never did before with this new energy coming in. Perhaps about how to work better with your innate. Well, that's the plan. The innate in your body is different today from when either one of you wrote and submitted your very question.
One last question, and it comes from Tara, who is in Canada. Why is my back pain not completely released and healed by now after a year with all of the energy modalities I attend and the Kryon work?
Tara, I just explained that each and every individual has their own path and their own soul plan, which brings them to a place where some ask this very question. You're not alone. For many, the rest of that question is often, what am I doing wrong? Or what have I done wrong? Or, what is the negative energy that's holding me back? I've heard these 3 questions repeatedly. Every answer is different. But since we selected you this evening, I don't think there is an accident in that selection. So let's see what Kryon has told me to tell you. Tara, dear beautiful soul that you are, you can start the healing you want. But in this new energy, you're going to have to laugh more and discover the child within. It's not karma holding you back. It's you. You need to find the joy that is inside you and practice it every day. The innate within you is waiting for this and will give you what you want and what you've been waiting for. Your chemistry will change, and the signals to your cells will change. Your soul has been waiting for this.
What beautiful information from you, Lee and Kryon. We hope you've enjoyed Lee's answers, and thanks to the members who sent the questions. I feel many people will benefit from those questions and answers. So please, members, keep those beautiful questions coming. The topic tonight is going to be on the power of innate. What is it? What's the history? How might it be changing? And what else is there to know about something that is so profound within our bodies at this time? The answers to these questions and more is coming up right after we take a short 5-minute break. So don't go too far, because I can tell that your innate is already jumping up and down, that you're here to receive the information. We are back. Are you ready to get into our discussion about the innate? Well, I have a feeling it's a subject many of you want to know more about. For many years, Kryon's been giving us information about our smart body intelligence, which is called innate. But what exactly is the innate? Where is it found within the body? How do we work with innate? And how can we use innate to create health?
So let's just start with an explanation. The innate of a human being has been called, indeed, by many as the smart body. For there's acknowledgement that indeed there has to be this energy, since it responds so well to so many processes. In metaphysics and in esoterics, what we call applied kinesiology today started actually in the late 60s with George Goodhart, focusing on muscle testing for health assessment. That's the first time we've probably heard the term muscle testing that so many of us know. I think most of us have seen or even used muscle testing. My first experience was in a dentist office way before Kryon. So let me just tell you that story now, just very briefly. Before Kryon, I was going to have a filling in my tooth, something that's actually normal. And I went to a dentist I had not been before. He was going to put a substance, an algamide or something, whatever you call it, algamide. That sounds like something from space. It's whatever substance he was going to put in my tooth. And we were ready to go, and he says, I want to make sure you're not allergic to it. And I said, well, okay, well, how do you do that? And he says, well, I'm going to put this in this little tube, and I want you to hold it and put your arm out and hold it. And so I did. And it was put your arm out like that. And so what happened is that he started pressing down on my arm, and he said, is that as hard as you can hold your arm up? Is that? And I said, yeah. And so he said, fine, you're not allergic. And I said, wait a minute. What have you just done? And he said, oh, you don't know about muscle testing. And I said, I'm not sure I want to know. It's just a little too spooky, doctor. And he said, let me show you something. So he gave me another vial to hold, and I did like that. He started pressing on my arm, and it went down immediately. And I said, wait a minute, let me try that again. So I held up my arm, and I really concentrated like Superman. I'm going to try. And he pushed it down, it went down. I said, you're pushing harder. And he said, I am not pushing any harder. And I said, what's in that vial that you gave me? And he said, mercury. So this is the first time I ever witnessed this, saw it work on me. And then I became a believer. So it does work. But the discovery of this innate aspect of biology, it really isn't all that recent. We can go all the way back to Aristotle in the 1600s, where this phenomenon of communication with innate was actually called, quote, the observation of movement, unquote. After that, it was developed into many scientific studies, which then evolved into distinct fields like biomechanics, and many things in athletics, and the specific practice then of applied kinesiology. Of course, over time, it split off into many layers of science, and then woo-woo. Although some kinesiology is considered science to a certain point, beyond the study of physical movement and athletics, it often becomes woo-woo. Could it be that there is a smart body, overall sensor, or controller within you that knows what is going on and that you can communicate with? There are many who tell you it's a big yes, since it saved their lives, giving them direct assistance and access to what's wrong in their bodies and even what to do about it. There are even healing processes that consider innate to be the master healer of the body. One of these processes called body talk. I have watched facilitators use body talk with innate to pinpoint where issues are in the body and what to do about them. It's an amazing thing to watch. Innate is far more than just smart.
Kryon's been teaching about innate for many years, and I wanted to bring you some direct channeling from Kryon about innate, and it was a channel called the Enhanced Innate, and here it is from Kryon. How many of you have spent your lives with your hands outstretched, thanking God, asking God, wanting God, only to now realize that perhaps it must come from the God within? The God within is your own angel or your own divinity. Again, you are working a new puzzle of very new energy within the library of very old information. Did you know that your biology is designed to listen to what you're saying? There is a process that is common to those who work in alternative ways of health called homeopathy. I want to analyze it for just a moment in a very 3D and simplistic way, because when you connect the dots, the process of homeopathy contains the premise of innate. Homeopathy has been available to humanity for a very long time. Your medical associations have identified this ancient process as an invalid health treatment. Yet pharmacies all over Europe have successfully offered it for hundreds of years since it works. My partner, referring to Lee, was offered one particular tincture as better than a drug, and it was available in the pharmacy where he was. Indeed, it worked right away. Here is a very simplistic explanation of how it works. A tincture, a diluted remedy so small that it's measured in parts per million, is placed under the tongue. It is designed for the specific ailment by those who have studied this process. As the body takes it in, your smart body, innate, quickly sees the intent of those who designed and built the remedy, and it reacts to it as if a signal or command has been given what to do. And that's the oversimplified basis of homeopathy. However, look at what I just told you. This innate communication system is not new and it works. There are millions of humans who use it to this day. Its viability has been proven for over 200 years because it works, even if modern medicine says it does not. Many discerning people are discovering the difference between medical marketing propaganda and reality. Question: since there is evidence that Innate can see a signal given through homeopathy and change your chemistry, then how powerful could it become if the tincture were instead an individual's own consciousness? Can you talk to Innate like a tincture can? Dear ones, the awareness of your innate is ready to act on what you give it, and it is not restricted to one process. It's time for you to understand that talking to your innate is something that humans have been doing for centuries. So I'm going to stop that Kryon channeled information there because I want to have Lee continue with more discussion from him as well as more information from Kryon.
In my life with Kryon, I've used the ability to talk to Innate several times with absolute 100% success. Before I give you more about Innate from Kryon, I want to give you the two examples that I personally have experienced. I realize some of you watching may have heard this before, but I want you to really listen to what's possible now because we all have this power of Innate within us. As a teacher in front of you now, I must be able to do this myself. It's absolutely necessary. It's critical to the integrity of my work. So this is me letting you know two things that happened where I was able to use it successfully. The first is way before Kryon. I had a back issue. I had fallen through a drop ceiling in my studio about 1988 or 87, I believe. And I think I had injured my back. I wasn't sure, so it wasn't that bad, but when I bent a certain way, there was pain. So I went to my chiropractor, and he, one Scott, who I knew very well and had gone to a very long time, and he took an x-ray. Sure enough, there was something odd with a disc that we could both see on the film. He recommended acupuncture. Acupuncture says he really didn't want to adjust anything that might have been injured, very wise. So I had many sessions with the acupuncturist, and she finally told me that the process wasn't helping, and that probably I had something that was degenerative disc or whatever they said, but it wasn't anything I wanted to hear, not at the age of 43. It just wasn't ready for that. So long story short, I remembered what Jan Tober had told me about visualization. Jan was my wife at the time. She knew I was having trouble. And she talked to me about visualization and the power of Innate. I listened. And there was really no alternative at this point in time, nothing to lose. Isn't it interesting that this is often where things happen? There's nothing to lose. So, she was metaphysical, of course, encouraged me to try it. She said, talk to your innate as you were talking to your back. At the same time, visualize the spine as normal. Okay, why not? I went back to my chiropractor and asked him for that x-ray, plus a picture that was on his wall. I knew him very well. I had to convince him that I'd bring everything back next month when I was scheduled for another visit, and he said yes. So I took both items home. And for the next 3 weeks, every day, I concentrated on looking at my x-ray and then comparing it to the healthy spine illustration that I got from his wall. I talked to my innate and told it I wanted my x-ray to be the same as the healthy illustration. Pretty simple. 4 weeks later, we took another x-ray and the anomaly was totally gone. This was my first success and probably softened me up, you might say, for when Kryon would come into my life later. And it was my first introduction to woo-woo. I'd used my consciousness and had worked with my innate and had received a healing. This prepared me for number 2. I've had 7 surgeries on my eyes. One of the major ones is when I had a scleral buckle surgery where they had cryogenic freezing to put the retina back on my eye that had torn off completely on one side. Went to the hospital, had the operation. I had to lay on my back with my head laid back for a full week in the hospital. Then I came home. The prognosis is that I would have sight. Good, but perhaps not full focus. Not good. The retina would have to lay completely flat for that, and most of these surgeries didn't create that. They just saved sight. So here it was, time for the visualization again, and some of you have heard this. While I was recovering in a second-floor room of my house, I could look out the window and see a street. The street went so far that I could see all the stoplights for maybe 7 or 8 blocks. And those stoplights, they turned green and red, but I knew that before my surgery, I could look all the way down the street and see them as pinpoints. So this is what I visualized. I want to see the stoplights as pinpoints because that would give me 20/20. The vision that I had before the operation. So it had to lay flat. That retina had to lay flat. Morning after morning, I got up and they were blurry. Then they were blurry. And then they were blurry again. And one day, I got up, looked out the window, and I cried. Pinpoints all the way down. I had done it again. I had done it again. Here's more from Kryon. There have been many questions about Innate, and here is one of them. If Innate is so grand, why doesn't it just do things automatically? Shouldn't it understand survival and health and just heal by itself? No, dear ones, and I'll tell you why. The premise and setup of you with your higher self is that you have free choice. You have free choice. You have free choice to harm yourself with your own words and attitude if you want to. You can do it slowly if you want to with bad habits and with bad food. That's your free choice. Innate sits there ready for instructions to do the opposite with your free choice. So it's a system, listen, that takes its cue from how you live, what instructions you give through your intent and your consciousness. If you spend your life never speaking through your cellular structure, it'll simply default to whatever programming from the culture or belief system you fell into. Your body may go into full dysfunction and imbalance. That's where disease comes from. Did you know that science now has shown that those who are joyful and laugh a lot live longer? This is because the cellular structure is chemically balanced at those times. There is a consistency and a coherence with joy. It works together to keep you alive. Laughter and joy. What if your attitude signals your own chemistry through laughter as instructions for life? Whew, what a concept. What are your instructions today to your body? I will tell you this. All of you must release some very old things. Again, you can't take old energy into new energy. It simply won't work. Also, what about your self-worth issue, old soul? Here we are again with a very common message from Kryon. Lack of self-worth stands in the way of longevity and communication with Innate, period. Here's an idea for an affirmation that you might say and cognize to your body. Dear mind, body, and spirit, I release anything from my past that defines who I am. I release anything untrue or inappropriate from those who have convinced me, or systems that have defined me, or even ideas from influential teachers, even the ones I've loved and trusted. I release information that is not correct from my spiritual and physical body. Dear Spirit, I invite the core truth of my essence and the magnificence of my path on earth to enter my consciousness and create a most benevolent outcome for my health and my compassion for others.
My goodness, I think it's so important to hold on to the energy of what you were just communicating.
Yeah.
That was information from Kryon that was just dripping with love.
You know, if I can summarize some of the things just in plain talk here, I didn't expect that answer when I got it. And I'm saying it's interesting to know that Innate is silent and does nothing until we talk to it. It's our consciousness that actually then conforms what Innate does. I never really got that idea that if we do nothing, it won't do anything. It's almost like we look at the body and say, well, I hope you last, not realizing we can talk to it.
And I think too, if I can broaden that definition of if we could talk to it, from what I gather Kryon just said, when you laugh and embrace the inner child, that's talking to it.
It's one aspect that talks to it automatically, and I love that, because Kryon was saying, you may not know how to talk to it. It may seem too hard, but if you laugh, you are talking to it.
Yeah, and I think it's the commands. It's not wishing, isn't it?
Oh, it's not.
You're giving
hope
instruction.
and wishing has nothing to do with it.
Hope and wishing have nothing to do with it. Am I worthy to receive the healing or not has nothing to do with it.
No.
It's the commands. It's the relationship we establish as love. Oh my gosh, body, you're amazing. You're doing a great job. I love you. And then you also have the laughter and the joy, which sends... that produces the chemistry in your body for balance.
When people say, well, you still haven't told me how to connect to it. Yes, we did. Affirmations, that's a wonderful start. I have reached the point where I simply discuss like I had a friend next to me. And I think you can do that. And there's nothing wrong with it. People feel that there's some kind of a magic ceremony that has to go through, that there isn't. You are in charge of your chemistry, and you live with your chemistry 9 to 5, 5 to 9, whatever it is, all the time, 24/7. You are living with your chemistry, so why not talk to it?
Daily communication, messages of love, affirmations with powerful words.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's beautiful discussion, Lee.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's now time for us to move into our meditation. So let's use this time to communicate with our body and send it messages of love. We invite you to close your eyes and place your hands on your heart area. And as you slow your breathing, it starts to send a message that you are in a safe place. And in this safe place, let us send love throughout our entire cellular structure. Dear cells of my body, I love you. I love you. I love you. Dear innate, master and commander of all my organs, all of the miraculous parts of my body that work without me even thinking about it. I command you, dear innate, to send love to every cell of my body. I instruct you to infuse the energy of love and joy and happiness. Yes, happiness. Innate. Infuse every cell of my body with happiness. I ask for the vibrations in my body to be vibrating with laughter and joy and happiness. These are my instructions this day. Thank you so much, dear innate, for being here and carrying out these messages of love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And dear Kryon, we are now ready to receive your words of love, hope, encouragement, and wisdom.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. There's so many of you who have tuned in to these channels know that I've been talking about a very special new energy for 2026. One of the questions that we continue to get from many who are interested in that which is your innate or your healing is this one. Is the new energy going to create better communication with the cells? The answer is the new energy is an allowance factor. It's not going to create anything for you. You are. I want to back up and explain some of these things in a much better way. So much of your energy work, you might say, that you have been doing is fairly linear, in that it is treated like you would treat anything else. You apply energy a certain way, and it gives you something else. You set the energy for something, and it allows something else. And so you almost always have the energy first, and then whatever it is, it feeds it back to you, and then you receive it, and you work with it. This is different. We've told you what this new energy contains, which is special, unusual, nonlinear, and it's an exception, perhaps, even to the rules that you've had all along for energy. This is not a new energy, even though we speak of it that way, because those are the only terms we can use. It really is a dimensional shift. Now, that's not new energy. A dimensional shift is a change of dimensions. Simple. The change of dimensions is a description of the reality that consciousness can create that wasn't there before. A new dimension is almost like a whole new attitude that lays there ready for you to discover it. An attitude, you might say, of the energy. Dimensionality can be defined as how you feel about your reality. You're sitting in a reality of earth, and you know it's a certain thing, you can do certain things a certain way. Suddenly, you might say, an allowance for a higher reality is there. Higher reality only means you can do more things. You can see more kinds of things that you couldn't before. Dimensionality is often simply a description of the attributes of reality. Height, width, depth, time, whatever you want to say. It's the attributes that you live in. And suddenly, for instance, if you became more aware of something psychically, that's another attribute of your reality. Now you are in another reality, you might say, but this is a big one. A dimensional shift is simply the allowance to progress into an area that may someday allow you to touch the superconsciousness. And I've just given you things that many don't understand. The question that is there, will this new energy, as we've said the words, allow for better communication to your cells? Or will it create it? The answer is absolutely. That's one of the reasons this is happening. But it has to come from something other than what you think. There are those who believe that a higher consciousness of an individual would reflect how close they are in their belief to that which is the Creator or God or whatever you think. It's much deeper than that, dear ones. It's not about your faith. It really isn't even about how close you can become to your soul. Because suddenly we're talking about only your body, just your body. Now, a full body experience, of course, involves your soul. But suddenly it is just a little different than you think. I've given information about contact with innate, why some can find it easy and some find it difficult. And yet they are both believers, you might say. Light workers, you might say. And yet one will have instant connection and another will not. And we told you it has to do with things like your soul plan and all of that, which Innate knows. All of that, it was information given in an older energy. Here's the new energy, and that's what the question is totally about. Will this be something that will improve communication with your cells? Not just improve it, dear ones, but build a highway to it, dear ones. But it does not happen just because you're sitting there. I want to retrace history for a moment. I gave you a book, a journey, an allegory, a parable, a story. Some called it Michael Thomas and the Seven Angels. The book was called The Journey Home. And in the book, the hero of the day, the one who walked through the book with you, was named Michael Thomas of pure intent. And as many times as we wish to explain the of pure intent part, still there wasn't much understanding of what that meant. And then we tried to give you an example of an individual standing on the banks of a river or a lake, and what the intent was if they were to jump in. It isn't hopeful thinking that they would go into the lake, is it? If they jump, do they hope they'll make it into the lake? When they jump, do they wish they would land into the lake? And the answer is because of the circumstances, which you call gravity, the reality of the moment was that if they jumped, they would go into the lake. And the definition of that was pure intent. If there had been no gravity, there would have been wishful intent or hopeful intent that they might float into the lake. But no, they knew what was going to happen. Commitment was 100%. That's pure intent. Now, what does that have to do with your spirituality or your belief system or your doctrine? And the answer is not much. It's internal, isn't it? It's you with you, isn't it? Now are you starting to let me shape a new reality for you when it comes to your portion of that which is communicating with your cellular structure or with Innate? It requires that you have a cognization. You cognize that when you begin to speak to your cells, they're there. Now you would say, okay, I believe it and I cognize it. Here we go. Not good enough. Your soul knows, your spirit knows, Innate knows, your cells know. Do you have the code to get in, so to speak? And that code is pure intent. Don't you find it interesting that so many of the instant healings that take place on this planet are from those who are in trouble? It's their last breath, you might say. It's the last thing I can do. I'm doing it. And it works because there is full and total surrender that it has to work or else. Now that's pure intent by emergency. But that's not what you want, dear ones. You want an ongoing jump in the lake. You want to know absolutely that when you say, cells listen up, everything stops and they're listening. And that's when you give them the instructions. The same kind of instructions, as we have said before in this program, that you give in a homeopathy tincture or remedy. It's absolute. It's there. Innate sees it, and that's what happens. You know what happens, and there is curative power. You have to be the absolute purity, perhaps, of the tincture in your consciousness. What does that truly mean? Kryon, what does that really mean? It means you can't doubt it. You can't wish for it. You can't hope it. You're going to do it because it works. Now that is going to take a little bit of work. Of you becoming perhaps a little closer to that which is your body, which is perhaps your own consciousness. It's also going to take an exercise. You've got to have self-worth. There has to be at least an average amount of self-worth. If you don't have that, how can you ever have a commitment that it's going to work? You'll always be doubting it, won't you? Always. Now, higher consciousness in another dimensionality helps you with self-worth. Now, that is another story. That's another layer of this. If I had to summarize all of this, I would say yes to the answer of better communication with the cells, much better, but a little work beforehand. That work beforehand in this extra dimensionality, the reality that you're living in, that changes with high consciousness, is a more compassionate connection with your Creator. Now, that's not belief, dear, that's connection. Dear ones, there's a whole big difference between what you believe about certain things and how they work and an absolute connection to Spirit, where you live and breathe the fact that Spirit knows you, sings your name, and every single day, that's your reality. Not occasionally. Not when you meditate. All the time. The change of dimensions is to enhance that. So suddenly, you have the different layers that we're giving you, a little more complicated than the linearity you've had in the past. You're seeing yourself connected in such a way you feel it all the time, and then from there, you start working with the connection to your cells. Do you see this? You got to turn on the light in order to see what you're doing. That light is the commitment. That light is the intent that you have then to work with your own body in synchronization with that which is innate. Not your belief system, dear ones, your commitment. I hope I have told you a little more, and there is a lot more to explain. I am so in love with all of you, and so it is.
And indeed, I think it's fair to say that we are in love with you, dear Kryon, for always bringing us messages of wonderful information. We invite you to bring your awareness back into your body, this beautiful, precious body of ours. And what we'd like to do is to celebrate some miracles that have happened. And I love the miracle that I'm going to share a little moment on, because it's directly about this topic of innate and our cellular structure. But before we get to that amazing miracle moment, we'd like to send prayers and love to those who are on the prayer list.
Indeed, we love this part. It's just really, I think, an extension on from the channel and into the circle of 12. This really, truly is a sacred area. I'd love to have us look at, spend some time with, and have compassion to two individuals selected at random from our list, and it's Cynthia and Steve. Let us hold energy for Cynthia. Now, this is energy of solution, where you see Cynthia smiling in relief. You know how that feels. All of you do. I do. When something gets solved, something is then healed, situations then are resolved. There's a wonderful feeling I want you to see that for Cynthia. It's over. Thank you, Spirit. I am now peaceful. That's for Cynthia. Can you see that? Can you draw on your own, let's say, experience for that? Let's do the same for Steve. Let's see whatever it is that Steve is writing about in this prayer list is solved. He is receiving solutions, peacefulness, healing, whatever it is. We can do this. Steve, I see you smiling in a future Steve. Maybe even it's a now Steve. Maybe it's already happened. Then finally, let's just take a moment and do it for all of us. All of us. Not just a prayer list, although I would love to honor that as well. Those who have written in and given the energy on the list. For them, for you, for those who haven't written in, those looking here, perhaps for the first time. You are with family. It's a compassionate family. It sees you with solutions in your life and peace while they happen. Lack of anxiety while they're being worked on. We can do this. All of us together, we affect the field. This is why you're here, dear ones. This is all of us together doing something remarkable. Let's continue to hold the energy. I'd like to ask Monika to share a miracle moment one of our members has experienced.
So this week's miracle moment, it comes from Johanna or Johanna. Johanna says, many miracles have already helped me with family and daily life issues, but the last one was just spectacular. About a month ago, I suddenly had a swelling of my parotid glands, generating lots of pain whenever I moved my jaws. An ultrasound test showed a tumour and I was terrified and devastated. After a sleepless night, I told myself to put into practice once again whatever I had learned in all those years and not to worry and let any of those negative thoughts or fears harm my positive attitude, as benevolence surely would be on my way, as always in the case of the past issues. So I asked Spirit, tell me what I needed to know. Later that day, I strongly felt that I should call my homeopath. So in the meantime, I watched the weekly Wednesday with Kryon, and the miracle moment read by Monika was just what I needed to hear. So I put myself on the prayer list, and then I listened to the first green mist meditation that was given in Sedona. Kryon mentioned spontaneous remission, and these words, they stayed with me and they came into my mind whenever concerns started to arise. My homeopath was very positive that all would go well, and then the MRI I had, it revealed everything was normal. They couldn't find anything. I am in awe and so grateful for Kryon, Lee and Monika, and the Kryon community who participates in this energy and the experience. I feel safe and so much more in control of life. I love you all. Well, we love you, Johanna. Johanna, what an amazing miracle moment, and it really exemplifies everything that tonight's program is about. So let's very briefly continue on with the experience Lee was guiding us into with the prayer list. It's going to be short but sweet. We invite you to close your eyes. And to everyone on the prayer list, we see you, we love you, we know you are magnificent. Good things are coming your way. We see you, we love you, we know you are magnificent. Good things are coming your way. And one last time, we see you, we love you, we know you are magnificent. Good things are coming your way. Thank you, Kryon. Over to you.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon. Come a little closer. Tonight's Circle of 12, exceptionally different than any other Circle of 12 we've ever done. Every Circle of 12 is the same. We cross a bridge, we go to our soul, and then it changes. In all of these years, there have been so many scenarios to know, to learn, to watch, to feel. And so many of you have done that with us. And we continue. Tonight, well, we're not going to go outward into our soul. We're going to do something very special. We're going inward into our body. Now, this is not a visualization like your soul is. This is you relaxing with a fun story. I want you to relax with this story and just listen. Everyone loves a good story. I want you to listen because nothing in this story is actual. Everything in this story is metaphorical. Everything means something else. Now that means that you can then analyze this to yourself, but most of you will know exactly what's happening because it's going to be quite obvious. It's a fun story. It's a story of a man or a woman named Woe. Imagine the Circle of 12, and here comes a parable of woe. Well, it's not exactly a parable. This one is a journey. Woe, we've had before, is a woe man. Can be either gender. And that serves all of us, all of you, so that it doesn't biased. And woe is then having a visualization. The visualization was caused by him longing to know more about connection with his innate, how it might work, what he has to do. But more than that, he just wanted to know a little more about himself, perhaps the way things work. Woe was wide open, you might say, to any kind of miracle, wide open to anything at all. And then he found himself sleeping. But in that sleeping slumber, he awoke to a visualization, and it felt very real. An angel in front of him said, "Woe, I'm here to give you a tiny peek into your own body." And Woe said, "I love that. What's going to happen?" And the angel says, "Well, first of all, we're going to have to miniaturize you so you're exceptionally tiny, even smaller than one molecule of DNA." And Woe said, "Well, that sounds wonderful. I'm ready to go. Angel, do you have a name?" And the angel said, "No," and proceeded to go before Woe. This was unusual. Wait a minute. Every angel has a name. Not in this one. Not in this allegory. What does that mean to you? Perhaps it's the angel of the internal body. Perhaps it's the angel of pineal. Perhaps it's the higher self. I'll let you decide. This is an angel that loves Woe very much and is taking him on a journey into his own cellular structure. Indeed, they find themselves right at a very interesting place on a strand of his own DNA. There is light there. There isn't normally in a body, but there is in this story, of course, so Woe can see what's happening. And he looks around and he sees a lot of activity in his DNA, a lot of activity. And there's all manner of tiny little creatures doing something on his DNA strands. Trillions of DNA strands, and he's looking at one. They're not little creatures. They actually look like little angels. And they're all carrying something and doing something. And the angel looks at him, and he looks at the angel, and he says, "What's going on?" And the angel says, "Figure it out. Where are they coming from?" So angels are often this way. They're non-committal. They don't answer questions directly, and they leave it to you. Woe is used to this. He's had angels in his stories before and in his visualizations before, and so he starts looking. Sure enough, almost like ants, they come from one central area. And the central area he starts to go toward and walk toward, you say, in this visualization, and that area is glowing. Unlike any other parts of the DNA, he is looking at one of the chromosome pairs, and it's starting to glow. It's beautiful, and that's where the activity is coming from. All these tiny little angelic entities, you might say. Remember, this is not real, dear ones. This is a metaphor. This is an allegory. All of those little creature things, those little angels, emanating from the 24th pair. That's the pair that is not yet seen under a microscope. That's the pair that have been there for 200,000 years, dormant, and now awakening because of this new energy that you are now in. 2026, the opening, perhaps, of this time capsule. What are they doing? Strangely enough, it doesn't look very angelic. And Woe takes a peek and a look, and he comes in much closer because he's so tiny and invisible. He can look as close as he wants to, and he sees they're all carrying cleaning equipment. Imagine, they're cleansing angels of some kind. They're all carrying rags and mops and spray of some kind. And they're looking very nice. But they're all going to the different chromosomes of the DNA and all of the 4 base pairs. They are all scrubbing the DNA. What are they doing? Exactly, Mr. or Mrs. Angel. The angel smiles. The first thing that must take place, Woe, for this time capsule to do its work, is we got to take the dirt off the others. They all must be clean. They all must be receptive. In that, this 24th pair is helping to remove all the things that are not magnificent to this, which is the peace of God that you carry. This DNA that is human, that is special, which will someday create an ascended planet. We're taking away all the things that burden a human. We're removing past life residue. We're removing current life residue. They're in there scrubbing away grief and sorrow. This is the miracle that you've asked for, Woe. Woe had nothing to say. He got it. He saw what was happening, and he got it. And the angels say, don't dally. We've got another station to visit. Just as he was absorbing what he was seeing, on he went to the next station, as the angel said it. What's a station? Is a train coming? No, it's simply an area where Woe is going to meet the essence of what Innate does. Now, careful. It's not a place. It's not a station, not really. It's a essence of what Innate does. It's a control panel that doesn't exist, not really. But that it will for Woe because he needs to see it. And when he comes into the room, it's just packed with confusion. There are monitors everywhere, monitoring every single part of the body. There's all manner of confusion there, as I say. There's a lot of activity, and there are little emergencies. There are little sirens going off, all manner of things. And there is one wonderful, beautiful, angelic entity, you might say, in the middle of it all, doing its best to control them all. This is out of balance. He balances it. This is out of balance. He balances it. Turns around, looks at Woe, and is astonished. This angel is astonished. He says, "It's you." And Woe says, "Who'd you expect?" And Innate says, "I never expected you." And Woe says, well, Innate, why not? And he says, "Because you never talked to me. It's you." And then that beautiful Innate, he turns to all that is around him in this amazing, confusing control panel of noises and sirens and sounds, and he gives an instruction. He brings out an object from the corner of the table, and it happens to be one of these old-timey microphones, all dusty and covered, and he takes off the cover, and he pushes the button, and he says, "Stop." And everything gets quiet. Everything. Not a peep. No emergencies, nothing. Trillions and trillions of cells have been alerted that Woe is in the room. It's almost like God walked in. And that would surprise you, wouldn't it? And Innate turns to Woe and says, "Please talk to them." And Woe takes the mic and starts speaking. And there's total silence as he says, "Here is what we're going to do today. We're going to stop this pain. We're going to stop that disease I see over here. You're going to listen to me, and you're going to count every other day, and we're going to live a very long time." And Innate, you can see, relaxes in the corner, breathes a sigh of relief, and says, "It's about time you showed up." Woe is whisked back as though it never happened. I just gave you a scenario that is more real than you think. More real than you think. This new energy is involved in all of this, dear ones. More real than you think. And so it is.